Season 1, Episode 5, Cool. So I'm going to kind of address, like, the interactions that are important in this one. So there's the Lex-Lana interaction. Lex is helping Lana by trying to encourage her to break up with Whitney. Personally, I feel like this came across as definitely, like, protective big brother energy. Like, I feel like he's coming at it with I see this guy's a jerk, I'm trying to help you out, but hey, I mean, you don't have to listen to me. If you don't listen to me and you fall flat on your face, I'm just gonna stand there and laugh and tell you I told you so. Like, that's like a brother. I love the scene in the coffee house where he talks to Lana about Whitney, and then he just goes and sits down, like, right behind her at the coffee shop, while Whitney comes over and just, like, proves his point right in front of him. Couldn't have planned that out any better, right? Like, literally right after he has that conversation with Lana, he sits down and Whitney walks in and proves his point for him. I feel like I could picture Lex in the background just thinking, dang, I hate it when I'm right. I almost wish they could have done this differently. I almost wish that they would have just had Lex burst out laughing behind them without turning around. So Whitney would be looking confused like, what's up with that guy, weirdo? And Lana would know exactly what it was about.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this like the first time they start putting Lex in like some serious purple getups?
Yes.
This is like the first episode
of that. My attire, they tend to give me purple.
Because that's that's the classic Lex color.
Did you guys notice who else was wearing a purple sweater in this episode? Aw, dang it, you guys! I'm shipping them! I didn't know they were going to end up together the first time I watched this show. But now, watching it again, I'm noticing all kinds of things that make it seem like, well, gee, this was perfect. Of course they should end up together in the end. It makes so much sense now. Okay, so the Lex and Clark thing. So, let me just address something here. This is the episode where Lex encourages Clark to ask Lana out, right? And Clark responds, she has a boyfriend, Lex. Wait a minute! In the very last episode, Clark made out with Lana. It was actually Tina, right? But he thought it was Lana. He just made out with her. So what this is underlining is that Clark likes to virtue signal in front of other people, particularly Lex. He doesn't really care whether she has a boyfriend or not. Obviously, Lex wasn't suggesting that he go in there and make out with her. He just said ask her out, right? Lex is telling him to play it fair and square. But in the last episode, he straight up made out with her and didn't care at all about Whitney. But now he's sitting there talking to Lex like, I am such a Boy Scout. I'm such an upright citizen. Lex, come on. I can't ask her out. She has a boyfriend. That's such a virtue signaling fakeness. Whatever. So anyways, he does help Clark. He gives him good advice. He gives him good encouragement. Also, I felt like that's like brother energy. And he gives him the tickets. and the limo.
I swing that kind of lumber.
Clark asks him, why are you doing this? And Lex tells him, you're like the little brother I never had. And I do think that's part of it. But I want to add something here because I also think Lex is doing for other people what nobody ever did for him. And I covered this in another video. Some people, when they're deprived of things that they should have had, love they should have had when they were younger, they grow up with envy and feel like nobody should have that if they didn't have it. But then you've got some people like Lex who grow up and think, I definitely want to make sure other people have the things that I didn't have. And it brings them joy to be able to give to other people the things they didn't get. And I think that's there too. So Clark tells his parents that he has a date with Lana. And the Kents, Johnathan and Martha, both act impressed by his boldness in pursuing Lana in spite of Whitney. Because Martha says, hey, isn't Lana still going out with Whitney? And Clark responds with, she's not married, Mom. And then Martha and Johnathan exchange a look like, well, okay, a little bit alpha there, kind of impressed, I just want to throw this out there. What do you think would have happened if they knew that it was Lex's advice that he was taking there? What if instead of saying that, what if this was the exchange instead? Martha says to Clark, isn't Lana still going out with Whitney? And then Clark had responded, yeah, that's what I said. But then Lex told me, hey, she's not married. Whitney's really more of an obstacle. What do you think their response would have been? Do you think Martha and Johnathan would have been, impressed? Or would they all of a sudden have acted like, he's so evil, what a bad influence, don't you dare do that? But because it looked like it was Clark's thought rather than Lex's thought, they were impressed and smiling. But if it had been Lex's thought, if they had known, do you think they would have been smiling? Do you think they would have acted impressed? Lack of objectivity, lack of logic. This is an irrational hatred of Lex, I'm just saying. Clark ends up ditching Lana to go rescue Chloe. He promises he's going to explain to Lana why he left, but he never does. And after he leaves to rescue Chloe, he completely forgets about Lana, okay? And you could say, whoa, it was so traumatizing, I'm thinking, no, okay, no, you know who it was traumatizing for? It was traumatizing for Chloe, and Chloe remembered them. That wasn't even, it was their date. Chloe remembered Lana, and Clark forgot her. I think that's significant. What I think this is underlining is that Clark likes having Lana on a shelf, knowing that she's there waiting for him whenever he's interested in her, and occasionally enjoying her company as a girlfriend or whatever, or if he's horny, wants to make out or whatever it is, and then putting her back and knows she's there waiting for him whenever he wants her. That's what I think's really going on there. I don't know that Clark even consciously is thinking this, but that's what I see in his behavior. They end up at the Luthor mansion. Lex pulls a very smooth move. Brings hot chocolate over to Whitney and Lana and is like, oh, you guys just hang out here. We'll keep you safe and everything. And then he takes that opportunity to very smoothly inform Whitney that he has some competition. That's very Big Brother too. That like, oh, I just accidentally dropped that you were on a date with somebody else. Oh, shoot, Lana. I'm sorry. Was I not supposed to say that? Oh, sorry about that. Oopsies. Clark apparently kills Sean. I'm not really sure why that worked though, because didn't Sean bust out of a frozen lake at the beginning of the episode? Why did that? Are we sure he's dead? Like, what happened there?
Did Jet just die? It was really unclear.
At the end of the episode, Clark asks Lana why she goes out with Whitney. And she responds, because whenever I need him, he's there. I guess he makes me feel safe.
Even though she says some things like, we're just friends, and we'll talk about it, but Whitney makes me feel safe, which I thought was a little bit like, hey, F you. Dude, who saved you like 2 or 3 times already? And it's like, who keeps him safe? It's like, he's like, keeps you safe? I do. Behind.
I think that's an excellent point that Rosenbaum is making. However, I think what we're learning is that the kind of safety that Lana specifically values most is not the kind of safety that Clark provides. Clark provides this physical safety, right? That whenever I'm about to die or the monsters are coming, Clark will be there, right? But Clark provides a very toxic and I would argue abusive emotional environment. I think Whitney pays more attention to Lana's emotional state, and he's much safer for her in that regard. And what we're learning is that for Lana, that's a bigger deal. Because you're right, it doesn't really make sense that she would say that, because the one who's always rescuing her is Clark. Maybe Clark's even thinking that, like, what the heck, Lana? But I mean, Lana's allowed to value what she wants to value, and for her, perhaps in a relationship, what she values most is the emotional safety, not the physical safety. I could get off on a tangent here. I just want to throw it out there, though. Johnathan Kent, I feel like I'm dealing with, like, secondhand cringe. Like, he behaves embarrassingly in this episode. He is so badly behaved. I can't get over how unbelievably snarky and contemptuous he is. He should be embarrassed. This is not manly, okay? Like, he's coming across like a petty teenager. He's so snarky. And, like, Lex is being so respectful and so polite. And next to, like, this like, snarky... Oh, it's just, it looks terrible. Like, he's probably embarrassing his wife. The offer Lex makes to them, this whole situation of him trying to help them with the farm, is a really thoughtful offer on Lex's part. Like, he knows he's working with a guy, Johnathan, who has a serious pride issue. And he's not like trying to barrel through it. He's trying to, like, work with that. Like, okay, I get it. He doesn't want handouts. That's fine. I can respect that. So then he's thinking of a plan that would actually be able to be helpful, but isn't going to make him feel like he's being insulted or taking free money. So he offers his help as an investment. It's a business partnership, It's mutually beneficial. And yes, he does deceive them at the beginning of this because to try and convince them to come and listen to him. But once they're there, he is very upfront. He doesn't beat around the bush. He acknowledges right away what the plan was and why he did it. Doesn't make any excuses or anything. And I misspoke before. I said only Lana and Lionel treat Lex like a person. Mrs. Kent does okay too. I mean, she defends him a little bit. She's just always in Jonathan's shadow. So, like, she does speak up for him. They're just, she's just behind Johnathan all the time. So then Lex talks to Johnathan at the end, is like, okay, so I see you took the loan from the bank instead. You really despise me that much? And Jonathan's like, believe it or not, Lex, some things have nothing to do with you. First of all, rude. Again. Second of all, like heck, it has nothing to do with him. Like, Johnathan, you're obsessed with the Luthers. You're obsessed with Lex and Lionel. You're telling me, oh, it has nothing to do with you. Yeah, it had everything to do with them, okay? And Johnathan, his explanation is, well, at least with the bank, I know where I stand. And I think therein lies the problem. And I outlined this in the video about Johnathan. His issue is crippling pride. He had an experience with Lionel Luther that traumatized him, and I think effectively what it was is Johnathan's used to being the big dog who has control over the situation. He's used to being the most powerful one in the room, and then all of a sudden he had a run-in with a significantly bigger dog. And Lionel effortlessly outgamed Johnathan. Effortlessly. It was an easy play for him. And Jonathan's never felt small like that before. He's never felt like he was out of control like that before. And it just and instead of processing that trauma, learning to recognize that he's not the most powerful person in the world and that's okay. It's okay to encounter people who are more powerful than you are. He decides to remain in denial, repress that trauma, and spend literally the rest of his life backbiting the Luthers like a petty coward. Honestly, my bet, based on what I know about people, is that Lionel probably has no idea how his actions affected Johnathan, and if he did know, he'd probably be surprised and confused by how upset he is. I mean, he and Lex practically do this stuff as father-son bonding time. It's like if someone who's like never been hit before gets into a fist fight for the first time in their life with someone who's been boxing their whole life. Like, the boxer, it's not even going to register that somebody might find it traumatizing to get punched in the face, because it's like, wait, what? You're all upset because I punched you? Like, dude, it was a fist fight. That's the whole point. Put an ice pack on it and get over it.